Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop, first of two Super Bowl preview episodes for you. Huss, is that you or is that Patrick Mahomes? I can't tell.
That is me. I'm ready for the game. I'm ready to get out to Vegas for the weekend. It should be a lot of fun. Next best place to be other than at the game. But despite some nice wins, this season I don't know if I could swallow $5 or $6K for a ticket. Next year though, Lock Shop, we go to Radio Row. Can we agree on that?
Oh, dude. We should 100% do that. All week long, I've saw some people from Canada at Radio Row, and I'm like, we should be there. Winnipeg Sports Talk, Nielsen Show, Lock Shop. It makes too much sense.
Listen, those were the best weeks I've ever had in the business. I think, what did we do? 6 or 7 of them. And listen, it's not cheap, but I think we can figure out a way to make it happen. And wouldn't that be something? Bang out Lock Shops on Radio Row all next year. Maybe get Patty and Jake down there to get ready. And by the way, next year's Super Bowl is in Vegas. I think this is all coming together. I think can we agree right now today? Maybe get Pat in here right now.
I will commit right now. I will commit right now. I am in for a Super Bowl Vegas Radio Row. Let's bring in Pat right now. Mr. Gregoire from Coolbet, what do you think of this idea? Thumbs up?
We're in.
Yeah,
we're absolutely in.
It's a done deal. I mean, we can set it up, bring a couple Lock Shoppers with. I mean, that'd be pretty cool, actually. Let's do that. Let's do that next year.
I know some cool bettors would certainly probably appreciate a trip down low. Maybe it's a VIP experience. We'll have to get something going. Luckily, we have a full year to organize this, fellas.
Yes,
exactly.
Right. But let's do it. 100%. If you're watching or listening to Lock Shop right now, be ready. Super Bowl next year. Lock Shop, Coolbet, Winnipeg Sports Talk, Nielsen Show will be going. I just won't ask for approval from everybody. I'll just come right down. So that'll be good. All right. So on Friday's episode, we'll give our official game picks. We got some game props as well. Today's kind of just player prop episode, and I think there's about 600 of them or something that we can get over at Coolbet. So if you've not yet signed up for an account, coolbet.com is where you can do it. Use the code LOCKSHOP. Patty, I mean, people are going to bet, the line and the spread and the total and stuff, but this game separates itself from everybody else with all of the different props, right?
1000%. This separates the men from the boys, but it's also a great opportunity for someone maybe who's not into betting, hasn't tried, they've dipped their toes or looking to dip their toes in. It can be overwhelming. That's certainly the case. Even sometimes when I open up that tab at Coolbet, I'm looking through all this stuff. It really can be overwhelming. But, if this is your first time, go out, take in some content, like the Lock Shop. This is what these people are here to do. They're here to help you out. And it is a fun way, especially, we're not all lucky like Huss, who it seems like he's in the Super Bowl every other year now. So this gives us a little more cheering and gets us a little more invested. Props, honestly, this year, I spent much, much more time diving into props, betting props, building on the bet builder for same game parlays, rather than betting the side. I did obviously still sprinkle the side and totals and stuff, but for me, like the prop offering that they have at Coolbet that we have, and just now adding that bet builder, it's just a fun way to be invested during a game where you don't really have much rooting interest. Just wanted to get before we kind of go through the picks, just give the folks a little idea of what's going on at Coolbet in terms of some transparency. Right now, the most risk is on Eagles money line and spread, but I know this is a prop show, so the most bet prop, shouldn't really be surprised right now, is a Kelce touchdown, and a Kelce first touchdown is dominating that market as well. Should come as no surprise. I mean,
what's that number at right now?
That is a good question. Let me pull
that one. I mean, that's that first TD that hit last week, didn't it? Kelce first TD last week, right? So if you're gonna go Kelce TD, you might as well go Kelce first TD, right?
Plus 650 on that.
Ooh,
and I know
that's nice.
I did hit the Kelce first touchdown in the Jacksonville game, and that was plus 450. The fact that this number is bigger, I think, speaks to the respect that bettors have for the Eagles. what they've done so far this year, and the fact that, I mean, obviously with them being the favorite in this game, probably more people think that the Eagles might get out first. And I know, Dusty, we talked a little bit about that, the consistency of that Eagles offense, but Kelce and Miles Sanders, the co-favorites right now for first touchdown at plus 650, and then Hurts right behind him at 7-1.
Which I think it's just the sheer fact that Kelce is just built different. He's a freak, and you take the fact that we don't really know what other weapons for Mahomes are going to be healthy. But just keep in mind, folks, the Eagles have only given up 3 touchdowns to tight ends this year. They are tied for 5th least amount of touchdowns against in the entire NFL. So they defend well, but at the same time,
but it's Kelce.
Hasn't gone up.
It's Kelce.
Exactly. So that will be on my ticket, like a bunch of my tickets. I will be probably building something in there. Well, I actually will, because I have already locked it in. Just a little bit of a spoiler, but that first touchdown, I see a lot of value. But it does seem that a lot of people think that regardless how this game goes, it's going to be the Eagles, because they just play that opening script so well. Like the first quarter, even the first half, they've just been so dominant. And that's the second half is kind of where they trail off and just hammer the ball, run the ball. But it's really that first, the first half is where they really look really good. Again, I know we're going to talk more about our game props and our which sides we like. Maybe a first half money line might be a good bet if you're not too sure if the Eagles are going to win. But you certainly they're a team that always comes out hot, and it just seems like this is going to be a game where Mahomes, if they're going to win, it's going to be Mahomes putting this team on his back, mounting a comeback or a game-winning drive. That's at least the way that I envision it.
It's not a bad way to envision it. I mean, if you have to put a game-winning drive on anybody in the league, I think Patrick Mahomes, even on a ankle at 80%, is probably the best way to go. We'll give our player props later on. I know I've got a couple player props that are going to make Huss just his head's going to freaking explode. But Patty, what do you got? What are you on?
So I mentioned the first touchdown. Kelce, really liked that one, despite the numbers that I just spat out. Kelsey's built different. I have an exclusive right now. 2, one's under my name. The other one came from my brain, but we'll go with the first one. Patty's parlay. I teased the number for the Chiefs to plus 8.5. I don't see the Chiefs getting blown out here. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm not too sure. I haven't decided which side I'm going for the game, but I just don't see them losing by more than a touchdown. I threw in that Kelce anytime touchdown. I think if this is going to be a close game, Kelce is going to be playing a factor. And then I also threw in a Hassan Reddick sack, because let's be honest, the guy is a freak. Mahomes, don't know how much he's going to be able to move. I think he at least gets to the quarterback once. So you put that all together right now at Coolbet in the exclusives tab. You can go to our Canada specials in the tab there. Right now, it has not moved yet because we just posted it today. Where is it? Plus 265. So I really like that one there. The other exclusive that I put together, big boy ball. Travis Kelce and Dallas Goedert, both to score a touchdown at plus 415. I love that one. I love Goddard as an anytime touchdown as well. I figured those were my 2 favorite touchdown props. Why don't I put it together? Because Casey has given up the 5th most touchdowns to tight ends this season. The Eagles have been really feeding Goddard during this playoffs. He has the most receptions at 10. And in the red zone, he has 43% of the targets. So I think they're going to use them not only because they have liked using them in the playoffs, but also it's a weakness in this Chiefs defense. So I wanted to put those guys together. I'll probably bet them individually as some insurance, but those are by far my 2 favorite specials. I also like Jalen Hurts over 1.5 touchdown passes. Casey talked about it. They do give up a lot in the air. 33 touchdowns against
most passing touchdowns
the most
in the league.
It's the most.
Yeah,
exactly. And Hurts has thrown multi touchdowns in 9 of 17 games this year. So I know there's a lot of emphasis that they're going to run the ball, and that if he gets into the end zone, it's going to be him sneaking into the end zone. I could see that happening too. I just like the number. I thought there was a value that it was shading more onto the under, so I'll take the over there. Those are my 3 favorite plays in terms of props.
I just love watching people talk props. You know, I hope people have as much fun watching and listening to this as I do doing it with you guys. Cause I think, I don't know when betting props became a big thing, but back when I was like in high school and stuff, you'd be like, whoa, I want to bet on the game and stuff. I can't imagine having access to all of this when you're just getting into it. Like so fun.
You know, it was funny. I heard Bill Simmons talking about it earlier this week when he and Sal were doing their little bit of a preview. And, you know, like 10, 15 years ago, you could literally print out the Super Bowl props on like 3 pieces of paper. I mean, even with the, you know, the anthem length and the Gatorade bet and the coin toss, I mean, we were talking about maybe 75 markets. I literally stared at my screen for 4 hours last night, guys, trying to whittle down about 40 different options to 8 plays that I wanted to give out today.
How bad is this? There were 696 things to bet on for this game, and I texted Pat for more this morning. I was like, where are the player receiving the receptions? He's like, yeah, I know where it is. I'll get it up. And then it's up. So now it's at like 710 or whatever. So yeah, how bad is it that I'm like, there's literally 700 things to bet on. And I was like, but where's Quez Watkins receptions? Like, it's so sad. I love it.
It's the absolute best. And I mentioned a couple of the exclusives that I like. I know another one's up there, Huss, you might like. Hat-trick Mahomes 3+ passing touchdowns and Chiefs to win at plus 255. Really like that one. If you think it's going to be a Mahomes game and gets it done through the air and you think they're going to win, well, that's not a bad bet at all, especially considering, you know, right now they're plus 103 on the money line. Man,
I'm in on that. Thank you. Thank you for the heads up.
You are very, very much welcome. There is so much to bet. And I know I did say it is overwhelming, but just take the time and kind of comb through everything and pick what you like. Go through the builder, build your own same game parlays if that's what you're looking for as well. And, you know, like I mentioned, I have a couple of exclusives that I put up. I know Jake's going to put one up. I know you guys are going to have yours as well. So Keep going back to that exclusives tab because they're just going to be trickling in more and more and more. Even some of the cross sports props are cool. And again, these are ones that I'm definitely telling you not to just, you know, empty your bankroll on. These are just little fun side bets to have. Like, and just for example, looking at one, Devonta Smith receptions versus Alex Ovechkin shots against the Sharks on Sunday.
It's on my card tomorrow, buddy. It's on the card tomorrow. I've got it already. Yeah. I've got it already.
It's great. It's absolutely great. There's so many great little props. So kudos to you guys for all the great work that you do on the Lock Shop. Kudos to the odds makers. I know Jake and I are the ones that have our faces out there and we're putting the silly names together. But at the end of the day, it's our awesome odds makers who put all this madness together. They will be deserving a much, much needed drink or 12 once the clock hits 0 at the end of this Super Bowl, because what an unreal job they did this year with all the exclusives and all the props. And you can look at the Super Bowl, man, 710 now. Awesome to see.
And we, of course, can have a drink for 12 once the clock starts 60 when getting into it. Although we should mention that there'll be plenty of live betting options throughout the game. And you can head back to Coolbet throughout to see where things are at and maybe get in on something that you missed before kickoff.
No doubt. I do think with it, what the total right now is 50.5. It's a pretty high total. I know both offenses are explosive. I just feel like there's a good opportunity that depending on how it goes, like if it's a slow start or even a fast start, that total might be a little bit wonky. You might be able to get on it.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll catch up tomorrow to talk some game props and get an official pick for the game.
Thanks, Patty.
Can't wait. I'm going right back to the lab and look at some more bets now.
There you go. There you go. That's Pat Gregoire from Coolbet Canada. You can find him on Twitter at @PGreggy. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on the Twitter live stream right now, actually people on the Twitter live stream are telling us that Tarasenko has been traded to the Rangers. Frank Saravalli dropping Tarasenko to the Rangers, trying to keep up with the NBA on trade deadline day. Amazing. I will say this, no Tarasenko trade is going to interrupt our Super Bowl player props episode, because we've got lots to get to, Huss. We've each got 8 props. This is just 4 of them from each of us. We got a whole nother page with 4 more each. And look, there's only one place to start. The guy wearing the Patrick Mahomes jersey has Patrick Mahomes plus 125 for MVP.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. I mean, if you're betting the Chiefs, and listen, you can bet the Chiefs right now, plus 103, plus 104, I think, on the money line. I have a hard time imagining the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes not being the MVP. And you know what? Some might say you're better off just betting the Mahomes MVP than you are the Chiefs money line, because it's highly likely that both will happen. If one happens, that the other will. So I'm big in on Mahomes for MVP for the Super Bowl, much like I was for the regular season. We're going to find out tonight if that comes through at the NFL Honor Show. I will throw out one other name, though, from a Kansas City perspective for a long shot MVP, and that's Chris Jones at 40 to 1. Chris Jones was an absolute game wrecker against the Cincinnati Bengals. He's up for Defensive Player of the Year. He might be the most important player for Kansas City not wearing number 15. And if he can get into the backfield, if he can get multiple sacks against Jalen Hurts, if he can potentially cause a fumble, I think that he will definitely get some consideration. It's going to take a lot to not beat Patrick Mahomes if the Chiefs win. Chris Jones is the one guy, if you want a real off-the-board long shot for MVP, 40 to 1 on that. But I'm going with Mahomes at plus 125. I like the Mahomes longest pass over 37.5. Now, the Chiefs' offense this year, it's not the offense of the last couple of years. It's not 50-yard bombs to Tyreek Hill over and over again. It's ball control. And I think they'll do that for the majority of this game. That being said, I really do think that Andy Reid and his incredible offensive mind has been holding back a few options for a few big plays. And I'm thinking the Chiefs have at least one in their arsenal for this game. So I'll talk more about another associated prop with that in a bit. But Mahomes' longest pass over 37.5 at minus 110. And then we get to the touchdown props. And I know Patty was talking about Dallas Goedert. To me, Goddard is the guy to bet on Philly. I mean, listen, it was very difficult to take any Eagles-related props on this, but, you know, basically with the Chiefs, I think what the Chiefs are going to have to do for Smith and A.J. Brown, and maybe most importantly, spying Jalen Hurts, is going to give Dallas Goedert a little bit more of a cushion. And I think that he'll probably go over his reception total. And I do think he's probably the most likely guy to get into the end zone. I like that number at plus 188. And from a Chiefs side of things, I think we talked about this earlier this week. I got on this at plus 163 when it came out. The McKinnon number for an anytime touchdown right now is at plus 150. And I think with that Eagles pass rush, we're going to see as much Jerick McKinnon as we have at any point this year because of how much more reliable
You're thinking big is. McKinnon game, hey?
Yeah, well, for sure. And I mean, listen, some of his biggest contributions are going to be blocking, but he's the best blocking back that they have. But again, we've also seen even him chopping and then running out for screen passes, and he was a touchdown machine at the end of the season. So plus 150 on a McKinnon TD. And I had to make a little extra sprinkle. There's always one guy that has a big game. It was Damian Williams. That happened last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I think McKinnon is that guy. So I didn't mind 2 touchdowns at plus 15 to 1. Another option to bet that, if you think that will happen and he'll have the most points scored in the game, you can actually get that at 17 to 1. I think this is a little simpler, a little extra sprinkle on plus 15. So my favorite touchdown props, McKinnon and Goddard, and then a little extra on a deuce for Jerick McKinnon, a big number at 15 to 1.
And like I said, Huss has 4 more coming. I'm going to bang all 5 here too. I'm definitely going to hop on 2 TDs for Jerick McKinnon with you, because if it's a Jerick McKinnon game, it's really a Jerick McKinnon game. You know what I mean? Like, I think if he scores one, there's a really good chance he's getting 2 touchdowns here. So I'm going to ride with you for sure on the 2 touchdowns for Jerick McKinnon. I'm going to go AJ Brown touchdown. I think AJ Brown, and I think I've got a Dallas Goedert prop. Maybe, I don't know. I got props all over the place. I think I'm on a Dallas Goedert prop of something as well. Oh yeah, I am. But we'll get to that in the next set. But AJ Brown, the one thing he's got going for him here, and I know this young secondary for the Chiefs, Austin, you'll probably say this as well. I mean, they can play. These young guys have stepped up and they have played this year. Yeah. But AJ Brown is a physical specimen. Like, I think AJ Brown, when you get down to the red zone, if it's not going to be a quick out to Dallas Goedert, I think you just throw one up for A.J. Brown and let the big fella go up and get it against an inexperienced secondary. So I do like A.J. Brown touchdown at plus 120. I'm going to get on Kenneth Gainwell here, over 8.5 for his long reception. They've certainly started to work him into the mix. You'll see Sanders, you'll see Gainwell. But if you actually go, I think the last 5 I made notes on this last night. I think it was the last 5 or 6 games, he's had a catch. Yeah, here it is. His last, in the 2 playoff games, 17-yarder and a 9-yarder. But 6 games in a row now, he's had a catch of at least 7 yards. And this is just 8.5, and this is the Super Bowl. He might push for an extra yard or 2 here. So I'm on Gainwell for his longest catch, over 8.5 at minus 110. Hassan Reddick, this guy's been an absolute monster. I mean, if there's going to be one person that causes issues for the Kansas City Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes, it's this guy. It's over. So all he needs is 1 sack. It's minus 167. He's got 3.5 sacks so far in the playoffs. And there was only 4 games all season that this guy didn't have a sack. And you're telling me he's not going to get there and get one in the Super Bowl? So I'm going to take... I don't mind your play hustle of under 5.5 sacks, or we talked about that a little bit later on. But I do think Reddick gets one of them. He's been very consistent all year. So I'm going to go Reddick over half a sack at minus 167. And then I know he's been pretty good as of late, but I'm going to go with a Patrick Mahomes touchdown here, or interception at minus 118. He's only thrown 1 interception, I think, in the last 5 or 6 games. He hasn't thrown one in the playoffs just yet. There was that stretch in the middle of the season where over an 11-game stretch, he threw 8 picks. I think he ended up throwing, 12 this year. So it hasn't been perfectly clean. The Philadelphia Eagles have the 5th best rate of interceptions in the National Football League so far this year. And, depending on how healthy this receiving core is, if the Eagles can get some pressure without having to blitz Patrick Mahomes, if Reddick and Sue and these guys can get there and cause some issues, I don't know. I think Mahomes could still have a big game, but I think there could be a pick coming here. So I'm going to go against the grain here. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl interception at minus 118. Huss, I hope we're still friends.
Well, listen, I'm just trying to find where I can bet the other side of this, because 15 is going to be ready to have the game of his life on Sunday. If you do go under player passing, there's actually a bunch of interesting ones.
Lots
of Mahomes versus Hurts in just about everything. Who will have more picks, passer rating as well. You can get Mahomes at over 99.5. He's routinely been in triple digits for that. But listen, if you like the Eagles to win, Patrick Mahomes in Chiefs losses has thrown a pick, I believe, in 7 of the last 9. Now it's taken a while. You got to go way back for 9.
Well, yeah, you go back Chiefs, a while.
But if you think the Eagles are going to win, probably not a bad bet. Obviously, I don't share those sentiments.
All right, let's get to our next 8. Huss, what other 4 are you running up here?
Well, okay, here's an interesting one. And I mean, all of the longest pass props really are in favor of the Eagles, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. As I mentioned before, I like the over 37.5 for Patrick Mahomes' longest reception. And while I don't think that this guy is going to be getting a ton of action, especially with Juju back, with Kadarius Toney back, with the running game that they'll try to establish, I think that Marquez Valdez-Scantling and his breakout game in the AFC Championship game, we will see some MVS. He is the deep threat right now. And I think back to that one catch he made in the first half. Mahomes is feeling it right now, and I think he's got a lot of confidence in MVS. So while he may only have a couple catches in the game, I certainly think that the volume is going to be going to the Kelce's and Tonys and Juju's and certainly the guys in the back. I think MVS has a very good chance to have the longest reception in the game. 12-1 couldn't help but throw that. So MVS 12-1 for the longest reception in the game. And while a lot of people are talking about Hassan Reddick, I'm going to back my guy, Chris Jones. And these next two picks are somewhat optimistic. But
they're tied together. Stack them.
And we could hit them both on the exact same play because Jones over half a sack is -110. I like that to happen. I think he will be hugely important for the Chiefs on the defensive side of the football. And listen, big game, big stage, no bigger play than causing a fumble. If someone fumbles on the Eagles, I think it's going to be Jalen Hurts, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Chris Jones that's the culprit that makes it happen. So give me a Hurts fumble at +625. And then I will back one Eagle for a nice prop, and it's the longest rush in the game. And that is going to go to, I think, to Miles Sanders. Listen, this Eagles defense, while not traditionally great against the run, I mean, that sort of is the one spot that I think you can identify them as maybe being a little vulnerable. I think in a lot of ways, that's going to be the focus on Pacheco and on Jerick McKinnon. And Miles Sanders always seems to break one or two, and the Chiefs have been a little bit susceptible to that. So if you're looking for a longest rush prop, this will be the one that I back an Eagle for at Miles Sanders at +250, and I believe he is the lowest. I thought a little bit about Hurts too. I mean, Hurts, it wouldn't surprise me if he had a big one in his holster, but hopefully that doesn't happen. But I do sort of think that the Eagles running game is impactful, and Miles Sanders will be the guy, at least on the biggest play.
All right, Huss says Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up. I got two guys in the goalie I got to get to here as well. I'll whip through these for a couple tight end props here very quick. Travis Kelce, it's almost chalky, but over 6.5, -175. What I'll probably do is hop into Bet Builder, bump this number up to 7+, 8+, and mix it in with something else. So Travis Kelce's going to have a big game. It's the bloody Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. It's going to be a big game. I like this one. Dallas Goedert, first catch of the game for Philly. Philly's first reception, Dallas Goedert, +475. Just a quick little out. Jalen Hurts hits him, and they get things going, as opposed to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. So I'm going to go Dallas Goedert, first Philly reception at +475, which is the biggest number you'll get from me. Quez Watkins, I sought this one out. Since when Goddard plays, Quez Watkins really is a non-factor. Now, there's two ways you can bet this. You can bet his under on the yards, which I think is 9.5. I can't remember. But I do think he could probably have one catch for like 16 or 17 yards. You know, so I'd rather play the under 1.5. With Dallas Goedert in the lineup, I don't see Quez Watkins catching the ball more than one time. So Quez Watkins, once again, kind of like that Kelce number, a little chalky, -175. And then Jalen Hurts, I was kind of torn on this one a little bit. The two playoff games so far, he's been well under this number, but it's 31.5. But I went and I kind of looked back. And, you know, the injury, I get it. But I think if this game is going to be close, Hurts is going to have to be forced to throw the ball a little bit, maybe even late, maybe on a drive where they're trying to catch up. And I went back and looked at close games this year. And in close games this year for Jalen Hurts, 34 pass attempts, 35 pass attempts, 37 pass attempts. So I know in the playoffs, he's hovering around that 25, 26 range, but they've been kicking the shit out of everybody in the playoffs. He hasn't had to throw. I think this is going to be a really close game. So because of that, I'm actually going to go on the over Hurts passes here at 31.5 at -110.
Yeah, no, I love the logic behind that one. Listen, I mean, you have to basically base your prop bets on how you think the game is going to go. If you weren't lucky enough to get the script beforehand, you need to create your own. And it's a great point. When the Eagles have been in tight games, they have leaned a lot more on the passing game. And I think they've got a lot of confidence in Jalen Hurts to do that as well. I just hope that the Chiefs are doing enough offensively to force them to do exactly that. And that'll be a big factor in what happens at the end of 60 minutes and what should be an amazing Super Bowl in Glendale.
That is your player props episode for the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Eagles. It is the Lock Shop. We'll be back on Friday with a game prop and our official game picks episode as well. Tell your friends about the Lock Shop. And if you've not yet signed up at CoolBet, Lock Shop is the bonus code when you do for a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit. Remember, with the Super Bowl here, stay cool and bet responsibly with our partners at CoolBet. Huss, you have fun on Winnipeg Sports Talk, buddy, and we'll talk on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that. And folks, don't forget, pay attention to, as Pat mentioned, the Cool Bet exclusives. Dusty and I'll probably hook up a couple more Lock Shop specials for the weekend. And those will be ready for you right up until game time. And we'll see you tomorrow when we get to the big picks and game props for the game.